I'm going to go ahead and continue. So we were talking about new or menu items and promotions, new items, sampling, so forth and so on. One of the things that I've learned over time is that you can try to introduce anything you want, but if you blend it in with everything else you're selling, it's not going to have that pizzazz and it's not going to take traction. So for example, it was a while back when I met with our friends at Nestle and we were talking about different kinds of candy that we could put into the concession operation. And I'm always looking for promotions. If you know, when you go to our particular locations, you're going to see one different promotion every month. So we're constantly trying to roll in new things. In this particular case, Nestle rolled out a milk chocolate bar. And typically they don't do that. That's handled by either Mars or by Hershey. Hershey chocolate is known for their chocolate bar. Now, I needed a promotion for February. What holiday is in February?
Valentine's Day.
What color is Valentine's?
Red.
Red. What does that say?
Red.
Kind of fits, right?
Yeah.
It's going to fit the
Great
package.
share.
Yeah. Great to share.
Or not.
But look at this. It's also a foil wrapper. What's that?
Or not.
Or not.
Or
Yeah.
not.
Good.
You want to lose a finger.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, I thought that we were actually doing the Nestle Crunch Bars already. And if I put this in the candy case right by that, is it going to get much publicity? Is it going to get recognized? So when I was talking to them about doing this promotion in February, they asked me, well, how many of these candy bars will you buy? Because this particular chocolate's only made in one place. It's in Brazil. So it would have to be imported from Brazil. Okay? They don't sell it in the United States. And so for me to buy this, there has to be a certain massive amount for them to bring in for us, right? So how many of these should I buy for the month of February? I mean, I don't want any left over in March, right?
How many Crunch Bars do you sell?
That's the right question. So it's kind of comparable to the Crunch Bar, right? So I went back and I looked at my Crunch Bars. And for the entire year prior, Crunch Bars, I sold 365 cases.
How many's in a case?
358 cases, something like that. Pardon me?
How many's in a case?
There were 48 in a case. Okay? And that's a healthy number. For a company of our size, people really like the fact. Nestle likes the Crunch Bar. It's their
Wait, is
number
that
one
in
selling
total?
item.
In total of the whole company, or is that just one?
Total of the whole
location?
company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if I took the 365, okay, and divided by 12, what would that give me?
$30.
30. So I need 30 cases of this chocolate. Now I got 35 theaters, so I'm going to order a minimum of 35, right? But guess what? It's coming from Brazil. And I can't order 30 cases. I have to order a full pallet. Or several pallets. The minimum order was 360 cases. Yeah. So what did I do? What's the next step?
You did a combo of that and something.
Yeah, I thought, you know, this is too sexy, okay, for Valentine's Day. I mean, it's a foil wrapper. Look, even, it looks like it's got a heart right here, right?
It is a heart.
No, it's not. They're actually lips. That's the Nestle logo, and they're supposed to be lips, but it looks like a heart, right? Fits Valentine's Day to a T. So I went ahead and I ordered the 360 cases. And I said, you know what? If we can't sell them all in February, I can get rid of them by the end of the year. But to get it exposure, what I decided to do is take it out of the candy case. And if you look very closely, this is actually the POS machine. Okay? See that right there? And we actually taped or posted a Crunch Bar and then the Nestle milk chocolate bar right there. So when you were facing the cashier, you were staring at this unit. If that wasn't enough, I had some of these little signs made up that said try me, because it's a new product. So let's go back to February. Month's over. You know we do inventory. How many of these bars do you think we sold? What's your wildest guess? 25 cases? Okay. Get wilder for me.
200,
Get wilder for me.
300.
360 cases. We sold the entire allotment in 28 days.
Wow.
How many of these did we sell?
0.
No? 350 cases.
Oh. Wow.
I went from selling 365 cases in a year to selling over 700 cases in 1 month. What was the difference? Now, why did the buying habits of the public change?
Because you put it right in front of their face.
I put it right in front of their face. I got it out of the candy case and in front of them. The other piece is it's three-dimensional. They can see it, almost touch it, feel it. They know what they're getting. And so it had a better perceived value. This candy looked better than all the other candies. So that's my story. What is this?
Market.
Nope. What kind of jersey is that?
Football? Oh, that's.
Cowboys?
Oh, that's
Yeah, I'm back at the Cowboy Stadium again.
Right.
Guess what? Everybody's saying you need healthier items, right?
Yeah.
How many people are waiting in line to buy something like that?
0.
0. How many times do you go to a football game and ask for a banana?
0.
Honestly, if I walked into a football game and saw that, I would be so excited because some people, I mean, like, if you are vegetarian or vegan or if you have a dietary restriction, you can't have that processed food. That's awesome. That's catering to everyone.
There are 102,000 seats in this stadium.
Yeah, there's got to be one vegetarian who's going to walk in and be like, I need
Hopefully
an
it's
apple.
fine.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me how many people are standing here.
Well,
I don't disagree with you. I agree with you 100%. You're going to hear my point in just a
Oh, I
second.
know that it's not going to be like a hit, but someone's going to walk
You
up
see this
there
over
and
here?
love it.
You see the line over here? That happens to be a barbecue stand.
Oh.
There were 67 people in line for that barbecue. Is that healthy?
No.
Okay. Where's the menu board here?
There is no menu board because
Yeah.
it's.
Where's the service attendant?
That dude.
No, he's
Oh.
he's wearing his jersey. He's one of the patrons.
Oh.
Where's the service attendant?
This person bending down.
Bending down with their back to us. Okay? Here's what I think is good about this. What is good is this is the front entrance as you walk in. That's like massive doors behind it. Everybody walks in, what's the first thing they see?
Fruit.
Fresh fruit. What's the message?
Healthy.
Healthy. It's better than putting 3 oranges and 3 bananas and 3 apples at every concession stand. People know you got it. If you want it, you get it, you move on.
And then all the garbage is everywhere else.
Where are all the sales coming from?
Everywhere.
The
else.
Mexican stand, the barbecue stand, the beer stand, the hot dog stand, so forth and so on.
Yeah.
So I think they've done a good job letting the message out, showing you that they have this available in the stadium, but they don't have it on every menu. So we're going to go through this really. Whoop, I want to go back one. We're going to go through this really quick because we've already done this. We've talked about sampling. One of the best things about sampling is that when people enter your facility, if you give them a sample, what starts to happen is their salivary glands start to work. So whether they buy the product or not, whether you're sampling cookies or pretzels or any new item you're putting out on your menu, what you do is you get their salivary glands working and they go directly to the food place because they want something to eat and something to drink at that point. They may not buy the little cookies or the pretzel, but that's what they're going to do. Also, having sales contests with your employees always helps initiate any particular item you want to highlight. So if we went back to the Nestle chocolate bar, we did have a contest. The employee that sold the most of those chocolate bars at each theater got a $15 gift card to Starbucks. So there was some incentive for the employees also to follow up on the introduction of any new menu products. The reality is this right here. Remember this. Tom Peters put this in. It's in the book. Perception is reality. If people think your food is too expensive, it's too expensive. Doesn't matter if it's free. If they think it's a poor quality, guess what? You got to change that perception. And that's the battle that we have in this industry. The perception is we overcharge for food. How do you change that perception? All of this is in the book and around page 172. Service quality indicators. We talked about profitability and finance is one of the objectives, but we also have to think in terms of the quality of the service for your menus. How long does it take? Again, we've highlighted this. Transaction times, and then there's transaction percentages. What is a transaction percentage?
Percentage of the transaction.
A percent, the number of transactions per audience. So let's say we've had different kind of case studies. Remember we did the New York Yankees spring game case study, right? How many people were coming to the game? Do you remember?
60,000.
No, it was 10,000. The spring baseball game. 10,000, okay? So at the end of the day, we can go back and we can look at the number of transactions. A transaction is actually a sale. The transactions were 3,000. What's the percentage? We had 10,000 people come, we had 3,000 transactions. How would you do the math?
30%.
30%. That's exactly right. 30%. How many people bought something? You don't really know, do you? You know the transaction. I could go in there and buy something for my son, my daughter, and my wife. So I'm buying for 4 people, but it's one transaction. How do we increase the per capita? How do we increase revenues?
Sampling.
No? Yes? No problem. Look at these two things. How do I increase revenue?
Making your transaction times faster.
Faster. Why?
Because then you can serve more people.
We serve more people. We serve more people. What happens to the transaction percentage?
Goes up.
It goes up. The higher the transaction percentage, the higher the profits. Excuse me. I thought I had that thing turned off. So, when you get to service quality indicators, we want to be sure that whatever we're serving, we can speed up the transaction times and increase the transaction percentages. Anytime transaction percentages go up, your revenues per person go up dramatically without increasing any of your expenses. Quality, people are going to count on a couple of things. One, accuracy. If you say I have fresh popped popcorn, they want to know that it's fresh popped popcorn, not that you bought it from someplace and shipped it in. If you're having handcrafted burgers, they don't want to know that it's been frozen, and then put on a grill. And then integrity. People will forgive our industry for a lot of things, but they will not forgive you for poor quality of anything. And that goes for any hospitality operation that you have. Hotels, restaurants, stadiums, arenas, amusement parks, theaters, opera houses. We get in trouble a lot on this piece with movies. Some people don't like the movie and they feel like they overpaid for something. But guess what? We didn't make the movie, we just show it. You make the decision if you want to watch it or not. Okay, I'm going to go through these really fast. The service has to be friendly. We've talked about that. People need to have accurate memories and know exactly what you ordered. The last thing you can do to speed up transactions is, Kevin and his friends come in and they order a Dr. Pepper, they order a Coca-Cola, they order a Sprite, and a Coke Zero. And the attendant says, okay, so I got the Coke Zero. What else did you want? Oh, a Dr. Pepper, a Sprite, and a Coke. Okay, I got the Dr. Pepper. What else did you want? It slows everything down. The next piece is the environment. And if you turn to page 174, there's a thing called the 7-Eleven rule. The 7-Eleven rule really is stating this, that people will make 11 decisions in 7 seconds about they'll have 11 questions in 7 seconds about your particular business. Kind of like first impressions. So they're going to walk in, and the first thing they're going to ask you is this place clean? What's the environment like? What's the second question?
Is it safe?
Is it safe? Can I trust it? What's the next question?
Is it fresh?
Is it fresh? That's right. So they want to know some sanitary things first. Is it clean? Is it safe? Is it fresh? That's all about sanitation and safety. What's the next piece?
Affordable.
Affordable. Yeah. So sometimes I would guess that most of you don't visit many Mercedes dealerships, right? You're looking for a car? Because you already know that's, but when you see, beer in an arena and it's $14 for a 12-ounce beer, is that affordable?
$14.
Yeah. For a can of beer. Probably not. Most people are offended by a $14 can of beer.
Better be one of the tall
That's
boys.
disrespectful.
Pardon me?
That's disrespectful.
Almost.
It better be one of the tall boys.
One of
Fat ones.
the things is they want to limit the number of beers you drink. So by charging $14 for a can of beer, you're only going to get 2 or 3 of those before you're done. Make
Before
sense?
you're out of money.
Before you're out of money, yeah. Okay, is it affordable? The next question they're going to ask is, what's the value? What's the value? We talked about value perception already. And then variety. People like creative variety. They're in our venues for a reason. It's the entertainment package, which is the next piece, which says, is it fun and entertaining? So we talked about the straws. We talked about the frozen beverages in clear glasses, clear cups, clear vessels. Is it new and unique? Is this something I haven't seen before? Is it reliable? Can I trust it? Typically, you're going to hear me talk in a few minutes about branding. Branding, using brand names, creates reliability. And I showed you the double branding with the M&Ms and the Orville Redenbacher. Did anybody here question whether or not that was a quality combo, quality package? No, because you know Orville Redenbacher and you know M&Ms. And then, are they using the latest technology? And then finally, the last question is, it's worth a try. So they're going to make 11 decisions in 7 seconds. Will you have to meet or exceed their expectations on all 11?
To get a sale?
Yeah. No. No. Because in this scenario, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to have to pass clean, safe, and not necessarily fresh, but you're going to have clean and safe. And then affordable is important, or value. So it may be a little high price, but it's a great value. The family combo, when I told you it's $19, that's a whole lot more than the regular combo, right?
Yeah.
But there's a great value there, so you can save $10. So I'm spending $19, but I'm saving $10. Fun and entertaining, new and unique. I'll go back to the Nestle chocolate bar. It was new and unique. Have you guys ever seen that chocolate bar before? Then you won't, unless you go to Brazil. It was a one-time deal. New, unique, Valentine's. All right. So I'll go through these real quick. Typically, you want to create the decor group that fits. Again, what's the message are we sending? When we go back to that popcorn stand that we looked at earlier, the decor package made it look fun, right? It looked new and unique. We've never seen one of those before. When we saw the wine bar that was on wheels that we could pull out and then push back. New, unique. Every one of you thought that was kind of cool, I think. But look on your faces. Ease of access. Can I get in and out? Okay, we're going to talk about brands real quick. So what are brand names? There are basically 3 types. I'm telling you, this is going to be on the test, and 9 out of 10 people miss this question. And I did the same thing every class. Don't I, Asher? I tell you, it's going to be on the class. Write this down. It's going to be in the test. Don't forget this, and then they still don't get it right.
On the certification test, right?
Yep.
Is what we're referring to? Okay.
Yep. So there are 3 types. The first one is commercial. This is on 175 in your book. What are commercial brands?
McDonald's.
McDonald's, that's right, you're reading the book, that's great. Wendy's, Burger King, quick serve restaurants, they're commercial. So if you went into a stadium and you saw Subway or Quiznos, what kind of a brand would that be?
Quick service. Well,
Commercial.
Yeah. commercial.
Okay? And what would you expect out of them?
Like the same thing every time. Like if it
Well, the
doesn't-
sandwiches, you know what they
Yeah.
are at Subway. You get a meatball sandwich, you already know what it looks like. So
Yeah.
before you even get to the stand, you kind of know what you're going to get. That's what a commercial brand represents. What's the next one?
Proprietary.
Proprietary. What's proprietary? They're exclusive to that one particular brand. Will you close that door, please? Thank you. So a lot of companies like Aramark or Sports Service or Centerplate or the larger, even Malco for that matter, we have proprietary kind of items that we sell only that you can't get anywhere else. And then what's manufactured? The third is manufactured.
Oh, like brand names, products.
Yeah, things that are prepared for you in advance. So the Coca-Colas and the Pepsis of the world, Hershey's, Nestle, Maxwell House Coffee. These are all manufactured brands. Can you have multiple types in one particular brand? Can you have a commercial brand and a proprietary and a manufactured all in one?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. If it becomes commercial, it can't be proprietary because it's out there for everybody, even though it's commercial. Now, you can have proprietary and manufactured, okay? Or you can have manufactured and commercial. So give me an example of commercial and manufactured brands.
Hershey bar.
Nope. That's manufactured. I guess you could probably, if you had a Hershey's chocolate store,
Mhm.
but we don't have Hershey chocolate stores. Think in terms of coffees. I'll give you a hint.
Starbucks.
Starbucks. Why is it commercial?
Because they have stores.
They have store on every corner. Why is it manufactured?
Because you can buy it in.
They make their own beans, and you can buy them in Walmart, and you can buy them at Sam's, and so you need to know that there are 3 different types of brands for the exam. So what are the impact on operations? What's the impact on your operation if you start using quality name brands?
People will be more attracted to it because
They're familiar with it,
yeah.
okay? And they've already done the marketing for you. So Coca-Cola advertises all the time. Anheuser-Busch, Budweiser, they Dilly Dilly, right? You guys know Dilly Dilly? You don't know Dilly Dilly? Really?
Let's do it.
Oh my goodness. Dilly Dilly. So
Bud Light, Rachel.
thank you.
What? You don't know the Dilly Dilly commercials?
It's the latest
Like the
trend.
old
Everybody
time.
now is running around saying Dilly Dilly.
Dilly Dilly.
Really?
Yeah, so the first commercial was a king. He's sitting on the throne, and his serfs, peasants, they're bringing him gifts, right?
Mhm.
And so this one guy brings in some Bud Light, and he says, "King, this is what I brought you, is Bud Light." And the king says, "Dilly Dilly!" And the whole audience says, "Dilly Dilly!" And from that one moment, that commercial has taken off. They've
It's
gone
really
everywhere.
funny.
It's
One of
really,
those-
really funny.
Yeah, I've
So you
never
need
seen
to
that.
Google Dilly Dilly. It's remarkable what Anheuser-Busch can do in their marketing programs.
I love the Budweiser Clydesdales
The Clydesdales. That's
oh,
it.
yeah, the Clydesdales are.
and the puppy.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Love a good giant horse.
You can see that the transition in menus now has changed from just hot dogs. What I wanted to show you is this is a particular club room, and look, it's a first class buffet. I mean, we've got pastry chefs now making pastries, or we're at least buying torts and cakes and delicate desserts. You can see down here, it's a whole bar. People come in pre-game or during the game. This happens to be the Calgary Flames. It's their club room. So before the hockey games, people come in, they mill about, they have cocktails and appetizers. This happens to be a movie theater.
Wow.
This is a movie theater right here. This is the same theater, kind of in reverse, but there are multiple levels. But you see the seats right here? You literally can come in, have a drink, get popcorn, have food, sit back here and watch the movie, or you can sit down here and watch the show. Where's the menu board?
I don't see one.
You don't see one. I don't see one either.
Maybe they have like the handout menus.
That's exactly what they do. They give everybody a handout paper disposable menu. That's exactly right. You can see down here, kind of the same situation. It's a skybox for movies. But look what they got back here. A little catering cabinet. So they've got shaping dishes. And they're bringing food in. They got a place to sit back here. But this is just like sports stadiums. Now you've got like bar stools where you can sit in the back, and then you got club seats, and you get a good view of the game. So the menus are changing. Again, back to branding. I think I told you this a little bit earlier. What are they selling here? This is you, Kevin. Heineken. Yeah. How much do you think the operator paid for that stand?
A lot.
A lot?
Yeah.
Or did Heineken just give it to him?
They probably gave it.
Yeah. See, branding
Yeah.
can help you with your equipment. What Heineken wants is impressions. They want people to think about their brand so that when they leave the stadium or the arena and they go to Kroger's or they go to the grocery store, they buy their product. So they would pay a sponsorship, or they would pay for billboards, or they can give you this beer stand. So this beer stand right here probably costs about $40,000.
Really?
Yep. No charge because it says Heineken, or Heineken Light, or Amstel Light. And you can see they put a popcorn kettle in the back of it. But again, this is what branding does. Branding can help you maximize your revenues with advertising as well. Anybody familiar with this?
Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
Donuts.
Donuts? Yes.
Donut. Oh, well, that's coffee.
Coffee. How'd you know it was coffee?
It's from the north.
Yes, from the north. Are you from the north? Yeah. So Tim Hortons is the Dunkin' Donuts of Canada. What they're famous for, or where they made their name, is their coffee. They change out every pot of coffee every 15 minutes, whether it's sold or not. So every 15 minutes they replace every bit of coffee they have. So you will never get a cup of coffee at Tim Hortons that's over 15 minutes of age.
That's awesome.
But this happens to be, again, in the Calgary Flames Arena. But again, branding. Anybody in that locale sees Tim Hortons, what do they know about their coffee?
It's going to be fresh.
It's going to be fresh.
And hot. That's crazy. Really? Every 15 minutes?
Every 15 minutes.
I want my coffee so longer than that. At home, just forget about it.
And then you think of like old gas station coffee.
This right here happens to be, again, we've seen a lot of pictures of TD Gardens, but this is in TD Gardens Champion Pizzeria. This is proprietary.
Fancy.
This is the only place you'll see this particular pizzeria. They're in sports service operations, so it's a proprietary brand.
Is that like in the FedEx Forum they have like it's like a courtside something or other
Yeah.
brand?
Yes.
Or
Something
like
like that?
Sbarro or something.
Sbarro. Now wait, what is Sbarro?
It's
The
a
pizza.
chain.
It's a what?
It's a chain.
It's a chain. So what kind of brand is it?
Commercial?
Commercial. Exactly. Exactly. So to your point, Sbarro would not be proprietary because you can get Sbarro anywhere. You can go to a National Amusements movie theater and get Sbarro pizza. Okay. So these are potential branded concepts. You guys help me out here. This is where we have fun. You remember the little game we played where 85% of the people have the same thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Give me a pizza brand.
Papa John's, Domino's.
I was going to say Papa John's.
Papa John's.
Wilson's Memphis Pizza Cafe.
Now that would be different.
Mm.
Memphis Pizza Cafe is a local brand. We're going to talk about that in a second. But you're right, Domino's, Papa John's. I thought Papa John's was the next one up.
Haha.
What about sandwiches?
Stuff.
Lenny's.
Lenny's.
Jason's down.
Firehouse.
This is very interesting. Not one of you said Subway.
No, we said Subway.
Oh, you did? Okay. Arby's.
Arby's.
Now, I'll tell you why I put this Arby's in here, okay? Because this slideshow, I need to update this PowerPoint because I was actually in Canada when I did this, and Arby's in Canada is like McDonald's in the US. I mean, there's an Arby's on every corner. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, that's weird.
I mean, Arby's is good, but
It's
Big
really-
cheddar.
The other PowerPoint that I have has Quiznos in there, so you could have Quiznos.
Quiznos.
Well, you guys all
I've never
noted,
even been to
I didn't
Quiznos.
either.
Quiznos is like fun.
there's like 12,000 stores.
Really?
Yeah. Quiznos is big.
Weird dancing man.
But to your point, you guys sort of noted some local brands. You know, Jason's Deli is very unique to kind of the Mid-South. They're based in Dallas, but you'll see them down here. But if you go north of the Mason-Dixon line, you won't see Jason's Deli. I think they opened their first one in Indianapolis, just like a year ago. What was the other one? Firehouse Subs?
Mhm.
McAllister's.
McAllister's is
It's a local
basically a
brand.
local brand. It was founded in Oxford, Mississippi. Yeah. And they probably have 15 stores or 20 stores. Pardon me?
You just know that off the top of your head?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I know a lot of stuff right off the top of my head.
McAllister's good.
All right.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
Papa
yeah.
John's,
Yeah.
okay?
Yay. Love
What's the
Papa
price of a pizza?
$8.
What's the price of a soft drink?
Is it like a whole pizza or is it like a big
6.
slice?
I think it's a personal pan pizza.
I-
Look, $8, $8, $8, 6 and 5. We're kind of in that $8 range again, just like the. And this happens to be in the same Dallas Cowboys stadium.
Nice.
I really want to Smirnoff off ice to go with my personal pan pizza.
Yeah, there you go. Smirnoff Ice. Ice cream. What kind of ice cream do you think? So I said brands.
Baskin Robbins.
Baskin Robbins.
Ben and Jerry's.
That's good. Ben and Jerry's.
Dippin' Dots.
Dippin' Dots.
Bluebell.
There you go back to the grocery store. We're talking high quality. I would think Haagen-Dazs, Ben and Jerry's,
I'm too broke.
Dippin' Dots.
Yeah.
I
I
like
can't
Dippin'
afford
Dots.
Haagen-Dazs.
Well, how can you afford Ben and Jerry's if you can't afford Haagen-Dazs?
Perceived value.
Perceived value.
Perceived value.
Yeah.
Right there.
You gotta feel
If you're like
fancy.
me, what I do is when I go to the grocery store, I don't eat ice cream anymore, but when I have to get ice cream for my wife, I get those little like 3-ounce
The little
things.
teasers?
The little teasers that are like,
Oh my
It's like
God.
a spoon.
You can-
Yeah,
That's like
nice.
that's like
I'll
a
go through
spoon.
like 6 of those suckers and be upset about it.
But that's how you limit the portion, and it's only $1 a piece as opposed
There's
to paying the
no
$5
such thing
for
as
it.
limiting.
Yeah, no limitation.
Ice
I live
cream?
my life
Yeah, with
without-
ice cream.
without
Ben
boundaries.
and
Eat the
Jerry's
whole
ice cream, there's no
pie.
limit.
Yeah.
You
I
saw
got
it's
it.
like $700.
No restraint. Maybe we should have an ice cream party next week.
Amen.
All right. Potential branding concepts. Coffee. What would you think of?
Dunkin'
Starbucks. Dunkin'.
Look how good you guys are. And if you were in Canada, what would you say?
Tim Hortons.
All right. We're going to keep going. So we could go to local items. What kind of local brands are you familiar with? Well, we said McAllister's,
Memphis Pizza.
Memphis Pizza Cafe,
Kiwis.
Huey's. Excellent. These are all commercial brands.
Bringing out my-
Are there any manufactured brands?
Central, well, manufactured here. Wonder Bread? Well, that's closed down.
Oh, what about like
There's like the
Corky's?
dairy
The
place.
milk place?
Yeah,
Good.
the dairy place on.
Wait, those are all commercial brands. You're right. The dairy, like Turner Dairies. Yes.
Is that Turner?
But I want you to give me a manufactured brand.
I think it's at Turner.
What if I said Ghost River?
Oh, duh, Wiseacre.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, Wiseacre. Right. Memphis Made. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Those are craft beers, okay, but they're locally made, handcrafted, manufactured brands. Hot dogs. At one time, one of the largest hot dog plants in the United States was in West Point, Mississippi. You ever heard of Bryan hot dogs?
Yeah.
Bryan Hams? Yep. They got bought by Sara Lee, so now they're Sara Lee hot dogs. But they're very, very unique to this area, and the demographics here like that kind of flavor in their hot dog. They don't necessarily like Nathan's hot dogs, or Oscar Mayer for that matter. Marketing. The menu can always be used as a marketing tool. And I can tell you that for a fact at like the Ridgeway movie theater, because the minute we put in the extended menus, it became really a kind of a cool place to go because I'd get a salad or I'd get a hamburger before the movie or I'd get fish and chips or toasted ravioli or fruit and cheese. That became a marketing issue for that one cinema and it changed the attendance dramatically. It can improve the image because of the 7-Eleven rule, price range and the profit potential, all of those things. So, when you develop your menu, you need to come up with a strategy. Way back when we talked about there's a difference between strategy and tactics, right? What are tactics?
The
Quick service.
procedures.
The procedures, yeah. What's the strategy? The strategy is the overall
Yeah.
goal. Now we have to have action steps. And the tactics become the action steps. So what's the strategy for concessions? Well, you really are searching for the highest levels of A, productivity. How fast can I get this food out in mass? So I have to be very productive and my productivity has to be very good. Quality. Again, the perception is that we charge too much. People are willing to pay for quality. You know, it's funny. We sell Wiseacre beer, we sell Ghost River, we sell Memphis Made, we sell a lot of the local brands of beer. You guys are in the business a little bit, right? And what do we typically charge for an Anheuser-Busch product? Budweiser, Bud Light.
Less than a local beer.
Yeah. Now how can that be? The perception is,
Quality.
the quality is it's fresh made, it's made here locally. It must cost more because they don't make it in mass volume like Anheuser-Busch or Miller, right? And so I'm willing to pay more. So you can get $8 for, a Wiseacre, and get $3 for an Anheuser-Busch or Miller product. And then speed. How fast can we get the product out? Here are the operational effectiveness pieces. They're not the same as the strategy. Just remember that. A, we strive for good value. Value, right here, doesn't really fit in much of this except for maybe quality. But trying to find the right value is very difficult. And then operationally, we're trying to keep our cost as low as possible. So you want to lower your cost. That's the marketing piece. Finally, profitability. We're all interested in making as much money as possible. So, if you remember, I told you at one point, you can sell certain items at a higher percentage cost and yet still make more money. Do you remember that conversation we had? Remember we were talking about selling the premiums, the tins, the popcorn tins?
Mm-hmm.
We were selling them for like what? $5 and it cost me $2. I was making $3 profit off of that one item. Making an extra $3 is far more important in the fact that it's a 45% percentage cost. So you're always looking for the operational effectiveness and profitability. Profitability does not always equate to percentages. It's how many dollars do I put in the bank? So you want to develop a strategy. You want to try to create a unique and valuable position in your marketplace. So if you're in a stadium, it might be one thing. If you're in a amusement park, it might be different. If you're in a bowling center, you could have a different kind of unique and valuable position. For example, I know in bowling centers, they typically sell buckets of beer, don't they? Typically a bottle of beer is $2 in a bowling center. And if you bought 6, it'd be how much? $12. But if you buy the bucket, you get 6 at a time, it's only $10. And that way you take it back to your little bowling lane and everybody gets a beer and you have a couple left over, right? So when you create your strategy, you need to think about 3 things. Typically, are you serving the few needs of many patrons? What kind of a business would that be? Few needs of many patrons.
It's like concessions and stuff.
No, I'm thinking more like banking. Everybody needs a bank account, right? So, few needs. Checking, savings. That's about it, right? So everybody, many patrons, need a bank account. What about serving the broad needs of a very few people?
Condiments,
No? If I went back up here, I said the few needs of many patrons, we could go to concessions, but we could even get more specific and say, how about a beer stand?
Excuse me.
Draft beer. So very few needs. We could have 2 or 3 different draft beers, period, for the entire stadium, but we got a lot of people at a concert drinking beer. Make sense? Down here, serving the broad needs of few patrons.
Like longer needs or something.
Well, this would be more, I would think, in terms of investment banking. So you could have long-term investments, short-term investments, IRAs, stocks, those kinds of investments, or broad needs of few patrons. Typically, this is for the wealthy, because there are few people that have that kind of money. But this could be like skyboxes. I got a skybox. It's $100,000 a year, and guess what? I need catering, and I need a bar, and I need some peanuts, and I need some concessions, and I want to have cheesecake, and I need to have some sweets, so I have to have some sugar. I want a candy in there. So broad needs, a few patrons in our industry is probably something like skyboxes or stadium clubs. Serving the broad needs of many customers. The broad needs of many customers. Rachel, this is where you say concessions.
Concessions.
Yeah, there we go. So we have some people that like tacos, we have some people that like pizza, we have some people that like hamburgers, hot dogs, beer, soda, coffee. Broad needs of many different customers, thousands of people. Okay. So here's the point. You have to make trade-offs in choosing what to do and what not to do. You have to create a fit. Again, this is in your book. You have to create a fit that fits the company's activities. So if I said movie theaters, what's the food item?
Popcorn.
Popcorn. If I said baseball,
Popcorn.
if I said wrestling,
Beer.
beer. If I said boxing,
Beer.
if I said football,
Beer.
that's good. Beer would fit. Anybody else want to say anything?
Hot dogs,
Hot dogs, sausages,
Hamburgers.
hamburgers,
Oh, hamburgers.
corn
Yeah.
dogs,
corn dogs. If I said fair, Mid-South Fair.
funnel cakes,
Cotton candy.
Funnel cakes, good. What else?
Cotton
Deep
candy.
fried
Cotton candy.
Oreos.
What?
deep fried Oreos,
Deep fried Oreos.
Oh,
deep
yeah.
fried ice cream,
How about deep fried bacon
Butter.
cheddar
Mashed potato.
mashed potato on a stick?
deep fried water,
Deep
deep
fried.
fried.
Deep fry anything.
Anything that's fried. Yeah.
Anything
Breaded
fried.
fried.
So I think that's interesting. I think that's interesting. So the fit for these fairs, might be fried foods in general. Why do you think that would be?
Move fast.
Cooking, frying is a very quick method of cooking. Yes, that's right. And you can do it over and over again very quickly,
Mhm.
right? What else?
Did you, what were you asking again?
Why do fried foods seem to be so prevalent? I mean, like every trailer has some sort of fried food.
Because it's
Filling.
a treat.
It's a treat?
I think that when you think of it in carnival or fair terms, like when the carnival or the fair comes to town, everybody wants to get a funnel cake or a deep fried Oreo, but that's not something that we eat all the time.
Yep.
And so I think that a lot of people look at it as a treat. And that's
So the menus are built around a couple of things. Remember what I told you earlier about space, utilities, and equipment? If you have a traveling trailer, okay, you typically don't have a lot of electricity. So what do you have to use? Gas.
Yes.
Guess what fryers need? Gas. So typically that piece of equipment fits in a trailer. You can take it anywhere. You can take it out in the field. A lot of the fairs now, they have electrical hookups, but the speed of cooking is very, very important. So fryers do that. So that's why you see in the early days so many people coming out with deep fat fryers, and they're doing funnel cakes, and they're doing funnel puffs, and they're doing deep fried anything. Oreos, Twinkies. What? Then they have banana. What was the other one I was thinking with? Anyway, all right. Here's my point. The menu should fit the entertainment activity. Okay, come on, help me here. Oh, it's my computer. It's really slow. All right. Kind of summarize most of everything we've talked about today. Don't try to be the first with everything. If you're creating menus. Don't attempt to try too much. Find one thing and be really good at it. Do what you do best. Don't overpromise, do overdeliver. In other words, give more than what a customer expects. Match the food with the experience. Be open to new options. Try to be progressive. Here's the key. If you do this, don't let your friends run your business. Because here's what happens. I had this experience when I was working in my first amusement park job. I had food service, food and beverage, and then they gave me novelties. And the way amusement parks work is you typically would go to a large convention and they have a lot of different manufacturers of teddy bears or key rings or spoons or shot glasses. So everybody, you go to all these different vendors, right? And you sit down and you place an order. So what happened was, my experience with some of this is that I was picking out everything I liked. And the salesperson said, you need these kinds of pens because they're blowing out. Or you need this kind of a straw. Or you need this kind of a plush animal. Everybody loves snakes, rubber snakes. Well, I don't like snakes, and they look cheap to me, and there's no value in it, right? And so finally, he stopped me at one point, and he said, you got to stop buying like this. I said, what? He said, you're buying for yourself. I said, well, I think I have pretty good value and a good idea what people want, right? He said, believe it or not, there are a lot of people out there that don't think like you, Larry. They have different viewpoints. Baskin-Robbins made its name for what?
23 flavors.
31 flavors.
31.
What'd you say?
I said 23.
That's okay, you're close. You're at least double digits.
Not really.
Yeah. So my point is that if you let your friends tell you how to run your business, you're going to limit what your capabilities are because you're just doing it for those few people. You have to think globally. You have to think masses. We got 60,000 people coming to the stadium. Not everybody's going to want Miller beer. Some people are going to want Bud Light, Dilly Dilly. Have you not seen the commercial where they're about to go into battle?
No idea.
Oh my gosh.
I
Have you
haven't
seen
either.
it?
No.
Oh, so the king now, he's got his forces and they're very medieval, right? And they've got like spears and knives. And he rides up on his horse and the camera shifts to the opposing army. And they have like 40,000 people with all the modern kind of technology. They've got horses and the best shields and the best spears. And behind the army, there's a caravan of Bud Light on a trailer, okay? And so the king rides up and he looks at all of his army, who are very poor, and he says, you know, they've got 40,000 soldiers, and we've got 4,000 soldiers, so we're quite outmatched. And then he says, they have better armament, and they have not only do they have arms, but they have flaming arrows. And what's the difference between an arrow and a flaming arrow? You're going to die either way. You know, it's kind of funny. And then he kind of goes through the whole reasons why they're going to all die in about 10 minutes. And then he says, but they do have something that we want. Bud Light. And the whole crowd goes, Dilly Dilly! And they all rush, right? Because they're going after the trailer of beer. It's pretty funny. All right. Don't forget the special diets. We talked about having some fruit every once in a while. Focus on your core business. We talked about that. Don't detract from the menu offerings. Add value and quality at the same time. And then if you're purchasing anything in particular just because it's cheap or inexpensive or costs less, don't always take the deal. We talked about popcorn, remember? We talked about popcorn expansion. Even though the bag of popcorn was $1 less, didn't mean it was best for our business. Okay? You have to do some research on the sales pitch. Same thing. I try to find focus groups and try candy out before we run with it. You know, we kind of had that discussion at the break. What kind of candy would you like? And you kind of gave me some very valuable information. If I'm eating gummy bears, I just want gummy bears. I don't want gummy worms and Swedish fish and everything else in it. If I'm eating Airhead Bites, that's what I want. I don't want you to throw in Sour Patch Kids and some other things. I just want to stay focused. All right. Let's take a break. Let's come back at 11:30 and we'll try to wrap up most of everything else. We're going to talk about concession stand management.